This is the Business of Leadership Series Minute with your host, the best-selling author of Don't Buy a Duck and founder of MarketingStrategyHero.com, Derek Champagne.
Got a great guest today. We've got Dr. Buck Joffrey, who is an accomplished physician, entrepreneur, asset manager. He's got a great podcast as well. And he's passionate about talking about Wealth Formula, and he hosts the popular Wealth Formula podcast. He actually went from being broke to actually having a investment of 8-figure net worth. Welcome to the program today, Dr. Buck.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about your background and then how you got to where you are today. We've got several questions for you, and I know you're going to enlighten us about a new way of investing, an effective way of investing, but I want our listeners to get to know you a little bit as well.
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, I'm actually trained as a physician. I'm training in head and neck surgery and plastic surgery, and I finished my training in 2008. So I was your classic A student, right? So you don't hear about many huge business successes and A students, but I was a classic A student, and did all the right things and went to the right schools and so on and so forth. And toward the end of my training in 2008, I actually was starting to get burned out a little bit on the whole idea of academic medicine, even though that was sort of what my whole life seemed to be pointing at. And when I say academic medicine, meaning, going to university and becoming a professor of surgery of some kind.
Okay.
And so when I finished my training right around 2008, and as I mentioned, I had some training in plastic and cosmetic surgery. So that's the route I decided to take, and I joined up with a large company that specialized in cosmetics, and so it was sort of like joining corporate America, except on the doctor's side. And I was with them for about 6, maybe it was 8 months or so, and I realized pretty quickly that I didn't really like being told what to do, particularly because I felt like, I felt like I was smarter than them, and they were telling me what to do, and they were not physicians. It'd be like the office manager or something like that, and so I got into big arguments with these people all the time. And next, they fired me, and so that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I really never had a whole lot of failures up to that point, which I think is part of the reason why typically A students, don't end up as entrepreneurs, because they're not used to failure, right? So, fortuitous time to be unemployed and watch, 2008 during that little stock market thing that happened. Mm-hmm. I was all of a sudden tuned into the thought of money, and it was also right around that time that I'd read a Kiyosaki book called The Cash Flow Quadrant. Right. That was the first Kiyosaki book I ever read. And for me, it was the first book about money I ever read. I never thought about money. I mean, like most doctors, I just wanted to be a doctor, and that's all I read. At any rate, the whole thing just completely changed my perspective on life. And so when I talk about, being broke, well, I was a surgical resident in San Francisco, making about $50,000 a year. And if in the city of San Francisco in 2008, if you're making $50,000 a year, that's like making like $10,000 a year in your house, right? So, so my training was complete. I got fired, started my own company. I'd never, that was similar to the one that I was working for. And within 18 months, became a millionaire.
Derek Champagne here. I want to connect with you if you're listening to the Business Leadership Series. We can connect on LinkedIn or send me a message at derek@derekchampagne.com. I look forward to connecting.